Renegade! What's up, y'all? Brother Jahred here. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, me and you. What is the truth movement? Well, I'm sure the truth movement is different things to different people, but right now you're gonna get what the truth movement means to me. And truth movement is a discussion about secret, esoteric knowledge. Okay? Esoteric refers to like hidden knowledge, and exoteric would be like more of a surface knowledge. You know, when you think about the Freemasons, a lot of time, you know, with secret societies and stuff, well, the Freemasons, for instance, came around at a time where it was unlawful to even discuss, you know, things that went against the church or whatever. So, you know, a lot of times people want to generalize about the Freemasons and they're evil and this and that, but while we're talking about it, you never want to overgeneralize about anything. It's not smart. I know in this day and age, people want catchphrases and want to oversimplify things. They don't want to take the time to really think things through, you know. But when you're dealing with the truth movement, you have to have the patience to examine things at a deeper level. It was the great philosopher Plato who said, all men naturally desire to know. So, it's natural for us to want to know things. Although for, I dare say, thousands of years, most of the population was content with just getting their information from priests or just believed everything they heard on the evening news or read in the newspaper. Now, within the last, 50 years, as more light and energy is bombarding the planet, people have had the desire to delve deeper into things that, we weren't necessarily taught in Sunday school or public school. You know, I have this really good book by Manly P. Hall. It's called The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And it quickly starts to define the two types of people. You know, and I really love this part. It's like the first type of person, when he's confronted with a problem, he will reach a solution by obtaining the facts bearing upon the question. The other type of person, when confronted with the same problem, becomes overwhelmed. Okay, now the first type of person is qualified to solve the riddle of their own existence, while the other has to be led like a flock of sheep and taught in simple language. Well, that's where you heard that term, sheeple. The truth movement is comprised of people who are not satisfied with getting their information from priests and the newspaper and the evening news. The truth movement is a discussion of a cross-section of topics: religion, war, extraterrestrials, free energy. Basically a discussion about the nature of reality. A discussion about lost human history. You know, there have been civilizations that have come and gone on this planet for millions of years. Okay, so we in the truth movement, we're not satisfied with like the Christian fundamentalist view of the planet being 6,000 years old. That's ludicrous to us. Not only that, we don't believe that the pyramids were made by slaves in loincloths using copper tools. That's also fucking ridiculous. Like, a lot of people only think of the pyramids in Egypt when they think pyramids. There are pyramids all over the frickin' planet. Okay? You know, these structures are so advanced that we can't even replicate them today with all of our technology that we have right now. We cannot replicate the pyramids. So that's another thing to look into. I mean, I'm going to give you a lot of food for thought, but it's up to you to, once you hear, you know, the different topics, to go and study them for yourself. I mean, wars for profit, you know, the military-industrial complex. These are things that need to be discussed. You know, wars that are created in order to make people money, like the top 2% who make money off of arms and weapons manufacturing. That's part of the truth movement. Using religion and patriotism to control people and convince them that it's okay to kill or be killed for the sake of your flag. You know, I'll get in trouble for this, but this business of saying freedom isn't free and all this, which is, in other words, try to make you feel okay about killing or being killed for freedom. It's not to say that sometimes we don't have to defend our freedoms, but much of the time they're just using that fear in order to justify the things that we do. A lot of times they'll use the excuse of spreading democracy and freedom, like in that movie Avatar, where they say when you want something someone else has, you turn them into an enemy. We did that in Cuba, where all of a sudden they were the enemy because when Castro took over, he threw out all the American businessmen who had captured land in Cuba and were raising, produce there and making a ton of money off of it. Well, the Cubans wanted to own their own land, so what did? We turned them into the enemy. Same thing in Iraq. The neocons wanted the oil there, so we turned them into an enemy. Well, let's move on to another topic. Let's talk about extraterrestrials. There's so much information out there proving the existence of extraterrestrials. All it takes is a small amount of research. And if you're not convinced, it's because you've got what they call cognitive dissonance, where you don't want to accept something because it would destroy your worldview of reality. People don't want to believe in extraterrestrials because it makes a lot of religions just crumble, because if people are like, well, Jesus died for my sins. Oh, did he die for the sins of every other civilization that exists in every other galaxy? It just starts to make you go, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. I mean, on that tip, it's like, what does that even mean? Jesus died for my sins. Even when I was a little kid, I was like asking that at church, like, how does that work? Is it human sacrifice? Or it's like, it doesn't make any sense. And of course, a lot of these religious beliefs don't make any sense. You just have to accept them. And that's the thing. If you're a philosopher and a thinker, you don't just accept things. You have to think them through. But I digress. Getting off track a little bit here. So we covered lost human history. But we're not really getting off track because when you really get into the truth movement, you find that everything's connected. All these bits of knowledge tend to get connected, like when you find out the truth about extraterrestrials, it reveals the truth about organized religion. When you find out the truth about organized religion, it reveals the truth about blind patriotism and how it controls the masses. So these things are all connected. I would warn people against concentrating too much on this secret government stuff and all the kind of the dark stuff and the negative stuff. I mean, it's good to know about all these dark things, but once you know, then you flick on the light and you move on to the next thing. Anybody who just gets consumed with all the junk, I would ask you to analyze yourself and see if maybe you define too much of your life story by some sort of a victimhood, by, oh, I'm the victim and the big bad government is doing all this to me or whatever. You know what? Part of the truth movement, when you really start moving through all these topics, is to realize that you are in charge of your own reality. Nobody can stop you from doing what you want to do ultimately. I mean, I know it sounds cool, and a lot of time the punk rock heavy metal thing is like, fuck the world and fuck this and fuck that, but when you get down to some true intellectualism and true philosophy, that type of rhetoric is just not going to cut it. It's not going to solve anything. That's why I can't stand some of these so-called truth movement people on the internet who never present solutions, and they're just ranting and raving every day about another problem and another this and another that. You know, we're getting too close to 2012 to just concentrate on all the negativity. We need to envision a world of peace and love, and that's what we'll get, and we need to liberate ourselves from all this fear. And that brings us up to this next thing, which is 2012, and everyone's different take on 2012. I find it funny how people on Facebook are like, 2012 is like Y2K. Nothing's gonna happen. Well, I guess, you know, whether something's gonna happen or not is that's up in the air, and we'll see. But the fact of the matter is, 2012 is something that's astrological, that has to do with cycles, and cycles are in effect. It's the way we measure the days. The sun goes up, sun goes down. You know, winter, spring, summer, fall. You know, the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the seasons, like I just said, and all those things are determined by our place, you know, in around the sun. And a lot of people, when you picture the solar system, you picture like the sun's sitting there and we're traveling around it. Well, we are traveling around the sun, but the sun is also traveling around this galaxy at thousands of miles per hour. So everything's just constantly moving, and that's how we get the precession of the equinoxes, right? And go ahead and do some studying into this, but what's going on right now is our solar system, where we're passing through in the galaxy, is a place that we haven't been for 26,000 years. And, you know, the date of 2012 was brought to light by the discovery of the Mayan calendar. A lot of people think that there are no more Mayan people. Well, many of them did disappear, and in my opinion, they chose to relocate themselves in another dimension, but that's for another time. But the fact of the matter is our solar system and our sun is about to cross the ecliptic of the galaxy, and it hasn't done that for a long time. And the theory is that we're entering into some new energies, which in my opinion is why there is a truth movement, and why people are seeking the truth, and why the truth really is coming out everywhere around you. The truth about violence, the truth about war, the truth about extraterrestrials, the truth about lost human civilizations. It's all coming out there, and in my opinion, it's because of the energies that are flying through our bodies and through our planet at this time. So, are we going to wake up on December 21st, 2012 and have there be rainbows and unicorns everywhere? I don't think so. But my opinion is that at that point, the scales should begin to tip in the other direction. For those of us who want to embrace a world of peace and free energy and a more cooperative situation, I think that there will be a splitting of realities where you'll have people who still embrace fear, whether they fear, you know, people that are different from them, or all the different fears that people have. They're gonna have their own Earth. Those of us who want our own Earth, we're gonna have our own Earth. And as you can see, even right now, there is a split where you've got, like, to me, I see it like there's people I see who believe something that's totally separate from what I believe, and they live in that reality and it's real to them, and I live in my reality and it's real to me. So you can see it's possible to exist in the separate realities. Like me, I enjoy my life and think the world is alive and every day is beautiful. And there's other people who think the complete opposite, that life sucks and everything's a lie and this and that, you know. So I think it's where you focus your attention. So if you are feeling fearful and negative, I would ask that you try to focus your attention to a higher vibration. And there are still Mayan elders who have their knowledge and information about 2012, you know. Obviously, the movie 2012 was just a bunch of bullshit. And then again, there may be those, and there are already those who are living through catastrophes. Katrina, and there's floods and